What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you my first impressions of Tunic. Tunic is an interesting game that launched this year, actually, back in March. And while I was pretty busy with bigger releases at the time, as a channel that covers a lot of isometric style games, I knew that I definitely wanted to double back and check this one out. And my initial impression was actually that it was supposed to be like a sort of isometric Dark Souls, which is becoming a more modern trend that we see sometimes. However, after actually playing the title, I've changed my mind on that assessment a little bit. What this game actually reminds me of are the handheld Legend of Zelda games. There's a lot of little puzzles, and much of the way enemies are presented are handled in a very similar manner. And just playing through this game a little bit, I got a lot of hints of nostalgia about that particular time when I played those games on a Game Boy. Now, Tunic has a few kind of interesting parts to it. For starters, the game doesn't ever really tell you what to do directly. You start the game as this fox guy just kind of waking up on the beach, and then you get to the business of running around and exploring. You start with nothing, eventually you pick up a stick to hit things with. Pretty early on, you get a sword, and you'll start finding pages of this manual. And the manual contains all sorts of hints and even the maps for the areas that you're in. Everything really comes down to what you find in this manual. And in fact, finding this stuff and discovering it this way kind of naturally, you'll discover these pages, and then the book will then explain something that you probably could have done this entire time, but you didn't know until you found this page that then gave you the hints for it. And a large part of the gameplay seems to revolve around finding the hints and just learning about things you can do and then unraveling the secrets that way. And overall, it works really well. Most of the game, in terms of like the actual text that you'll see, isn't a decipherable language all the time. It does kind of seem like the more stuff you find, the more of this your character seems to learn or you are able to figure out or whatever. And then the language seems to be replaced with actual words, which makes things a little easier. And so far, that's facilitated a game that kind of pushes you in the right direction without ever actually telling you what to do directly. Again, it'll hint and it'll show you things, and the way things are presented in the environment will kind of give you an idea, but they never outright tell you what to do, which I think is really great from an exploration standpoint, because then you have moments where you run on into this abyss and this giant wolf thing pops up, and in my mind, this thing's a boss, but it turns out it's just a merchant that I just randomly found in this random room. And it's the type of game where everything's relatively simple, but the more you play, the more you learn, and the more interesting it becomes as a result. For instance, if you want to upgrade your stats, you eventually find a page that tells you that when you get to a rest point, which is like this little campfire sort of thing, instead of hitting space to advance time and heal and reset enemies, if you hit tab, it brings you to an upgrade menu where you have to have an upgrade item plus a set amount of currency to then upgrade your stats. And just little stuff like that. It just feels like the tiny little secrets keep on coming, which blends together to make a game that's really fun from an exploration standpoint, because you're running around exploring paths and avenues and you're finding little secrets that then give you more hints to find more and more stuff, all while tracking down what the purpose of all this is. Now, on the more negative side, I would tell you that I've been playing for a couple hours and I have no idea what the plot actually is. It seems I ran into some sort of fox goddess who I guess needs help. I'm not really sure. And then on the other end of that, while I personally like the way this game is presented, especially with the background art, as they use the camera angle and the actual art to hide a lot of things in the environment, so there's secrets that are all around you, but you might not just be able to see them because of the camera angle. And then you'll go through something later that then kind of shows you that secret, so the next time you go through, or if you were to like New Game Plus or something, I imagine, you just know that it's there. So in that way, it's pretty cool. But on the flip side of that, I would say Tunic has an art style that I imagine is going to put people off just at a first impressions, because it looks very childlike, for lack of a better term. But to wrap this up and not ramble on for too long and save some things for the review, overall Tunic has been very interesting so far. I like the way that they handled the exploration and finding all these secrets and the puzzles, though I do wish I knew a little more about what I was doing and why, I suppose. But hopefully the exploration will eventually get around to telling me that. Now, I don't really anticipate this review taking me very long. I usually do a little research into the length of games so I can space out my videos appropriately. And from what I understand, Tunic is not very long at all, actually, and I'm a couple hours into it, and I already feel like things are progressing relatively quickly, so that seems to pretty well check out. So I would imagine I'll probably have the review for this one up probably by the end of this week. There you guys go, my first impressions of Tunic, review to come pretty soon. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, but regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.